In this video, I'm going to answer the question of how do we get stuck on the hamster wheel of life? And this is you if, despite giving 110% in life, you consistently feel exhausted, confused, lost, and stuck. And if you are still here at the end of the video, you'll know exactly what to do to feel happy, fulfilled, content, and energized instead. At the center of what causes us to end up on the hamster wheel of life is the unavoidable fact that unless we want to live in a cardboard box and get our food out of the rubbish bin, the game of life is going to require some money. If we're going to be an adult for between 60 or 80 years, the question is, well, how much over a lifetime? And this is a highly subjective number because we're all different. And the truth is, it's when it comes to money, it's less about how much we need over a lifetime, and it's more about how much we need at different times in our life. Because here's the thing, there's a very typical money demand that people sort of get exposed to in the game of life. So when we're young, it doesn't cost much to live. We're living at home, we're not paying rent, we're not really paying for food. We're not doing too much. We don't have a car. Then as we move through life, we might want a car, we get a bit more freedom. We might want to go on a holiday. Maybe we get sick of living with mum and dad. We move out. Maybe we meet someone and we buy a house. Maybe if you go down the path of having kids, anyone who's had kids will know when that happens, the amount that it costs per day just goes straight north. It's a very expensive period of life, paying off a mortgage, raising kids, until eventually the kids sort of find their way in life. Maybe by now we're 40, 50, 60 years old, and then life becomes a little bit cheap and easy to run. So that, what you can see there is a very typical money demands of humans during the game of life. Cheap at the start, expensive in the middle, and then cheaper at the end. So the hamster wheel, the trap of falling onto it, begins at a young age, where instead of planning for the future, learning about and saving and investing money, and learning about your purpose and fulfillment and what really makes you happy, instead of all that, we kind of just get the advice that if we do well at school, get a good job, and work hard, life will deliver every happiness that we desire. The thing is that a good job at age 18 is really just one that puts some fuel in the car and buys us a beer or a wine on the weekend when we're hanging out with our friends, and thus the game of life begins. So when we leave school, we're already broke. We start behind the financial eight ball. And again, we get a job and, as long as we can catch up with our friends on the weekend, we're not really thinking about the future. Then eventually we kind of want a bit more freedom. We might buy a car. Maybe we move out. This all starts to cost a little bit more. Maybe we go on a few holidays. Maybe we meet someone. Maybe we think about buying a house at some stage in our life. And it's really about here where we first enter the hamster wheel of life. Sometime, generally speaking, between 25 and 30 years old, where we start to become trapped, generally in a job that we don't like, and it's generally because of the financial pressure we experience as a result of probably having a mortgage and having dependents under us. So we don't get a choice about whether we go to work or not. And this really is the hamster wheel period, age 25 sort of onwards, where it becomes a real struggle. And what we're trying to do here is fight our way back to that black line to remove financial pressure. We're working really hard. Often we work long hours, always in a job that we don't really want to go to when we wake up in the morning. And that really is being on the hamster wheel of life. And we reach a point after a while, generally around 35, 40, 45 years old, where people typically give up on looking for fulfillment and purpose. They're exhausted, they're unfulfilled, confused because how did I get here? And stuck. And they just come to believe that this is just how it is. and there's no way to change, which is actually a huge lie. And then life continues on until eventually when the kids, again, find their way and leave the nest, and the financial pressure finally comes off. Maybe when we're 55 or 60, 65 years old, somewhere there, and we get a little bit of relief in life. So this is how we end up on the hamster wheel of life. And it's a very common scenario, very, very common. And it's really defined when we're living here, we're stuck in an unfulfilling job and never feels like we have enough money, and we don't have the option to find, to look for, and to do what we love. So if that's how we get there, how do we fix it? So to fix this problem, it's a twofold thing. Step one, because we don't get to avoid money, we need to learn about money. And the truth is, it's not how much you earn, but how much you keep and how much you get working for you. And this is best done when we're young. So if we can educate our kids, plan for the future, save, invest, this can become their life where we are in front of that black line. So at least in life, we don't feel the financial pressure. And when the emergencies happen, like the car blows up or the fridge dies, it's not a big drama because we've got surplus funds for those emergencies. If we are middle age, it's never too late to start. That can be, we can change the trajectory of your life, and that can become what life is. So at least we can move out of feeling broke and unfulfilled living here and move into here where we feel less financial pressure but can still feel unfulfilled. So there's one last step to fix that. We want to live over here. We want to feel financial, happy, fulfilled, content, and energized. So what's the last and most important step to get there? To uncover your purpose, what truly fulfills you. And if that is something that you're after, you're in the right place, because that is my definite expertise. Then we can move, if we do all this, from being broke and unfulfilled to less financial pressure, still unfulfilled, and end up over here, financial, happy, fulfilled, content, and energized, which is a big tick and where we all want to live. So that's how we end up on the hamster wheel of life, and that's how to step off of it. If that's been helpful, I encourage you to watch this next video titled How to Step Onto Your Personal Path to Fulfillment. Have a good day.